here is my old game. As you can see by the trailer, developed by Concerned Ape. This is a game I've talked about before. Stardew Valley. It's a farming game, sort of, with a little bit of light RPG elements. It came out. When did it come out? I mean, I should be looking at the show notes for that. It
Four
came out
years ago.
on October 16, 2016. I mentioned.
That's almost exactly 4 years ago.
Oh, exactly. Yes, as well. Oh, lots of October games. This was developed by one guy. He has a really famous story. I always tell it to my computer class or computer science kids. I said, like, this guy was 22 or 23. He was working McDonald's, and he made Stardew Valley in his part time. The assets, the sound, the programming. He did it all by himself. And he was eventually helped by Chucklefish Studios with the networking code. So, because now in Stardew Valley you can play co-op, but going back to the game, you can sort of see it in the trailer window. You can fish, you can farm, you can buy and sell things, you can get married. Very relaxing. I've got this game on 3 platforms. I've got it on my iPad, I've got it on the Switch, I've got it on my computer as well. I mean, between all the devices, I've spent more than 100 hours. And it's just one of those like busy work games, and people are always confused. Why would you play a game where you work? And there's not much gaming to it, but it's just fun. It's very relaxing. It is not the first game to do this kind of thing. Adam mentioned a game to me before, which I never heard of, which was Harvest Moon, I guess is the game.
You've never heard of Harvest Moon?
I had
That
never
dates
heard of
back to I think like the Super Nintendo or something like that.
I'd never heard of Harvest Moon
Oh
before.
wow.
And when I started playing this game, people talked about Harvest Moon, and I was like, oh, okay, now I know where this comes from.
Okay.
Yeah, so Stardew Valley, really cool. It's definitely for someone if you're looking for something relaxing to play. Not a lot of story in the game, and it's very open. I mean, I did have to Google stuff as well because there are some things like how do you get married and how do you grow this kind of stuff. There's some stuff it's like really not very clear how to do that thing. Uh, like there's loads of different things to do in the game. There's tons and tons of gameplay. I've known people uh, who've played this game for a good 500 hours and they're still finding out new things about it. The guy who made the game, Concerned Ape, which is his Twitter tag, uh, he's still updating the game. There's apparently a big new update coming towards the end of this year to add more content. I've been meaning to want to get back to this game, but just so much other stuff to play. One of those games is Dragon's Dogma. After Adam talked about it right now, I'm like thinking after we do the show tonight, I'm gonna play a little bit of Dragon's Dogma before I go to bed. But yeah,
Do it.
I'm going to. That is Stardew Valley. Really cheap. I think it's $10, less than $10 US. Available on almost every single platform on Android as well as iOS. Definitely buy it. Worth the money for sure. Continuously updated. I've always wanted to do co-op where you can sort of build a farm with somebody else. Uh, I'd highly recommend it. Probably one of my top 10 games of my entire lifetime, 37, 38 years of life. Uh, is the game that got me into farming sims or simulators or working games, whatever you want to call it. Uh, Definitely a cool game. Any thoughts, Adam?
I had no idea that this was co-op. Is
Uh,
it crossplay?
that part I'm pretty sure it's not. I'd have to check that. But yeah, it is co-op as of. I think we're on 1.6 now. As of 1.3, it's co-op, and when it became co-op, loads of people would stream it, of course, and I'd be able to play it with somebody. People would play it with their wives. Might be a suggestion for you and the wife. Give it a go.
She's not a gamer. She told me she was, but when we were dating, but that turned out to be a lie.
I understand that the girlfriend used to play games as well, and I think she stopped like
Huh?
4 years ago.
I did. The lady didn't show up. Sorry about that. Speaking of my wife, she just walked in. Anyway,
All right.
yeah. So, I had another question. So As far as this, I've heard some people talking about like there are some parts that are kind of difficult just because like the timing of it in the sense that it does have like a year cycle, correct?
Yes, farming is a difficult part. For me, the most difficult part was the actual like mining for raw materials because there's like a mini dungeon in the game where you have to go down and every 5 levels it will save your progress. But as you go down, it goes down to like 100 levels. It could be more. But every level you go down, the monsters get harder, the fighting gets harder, and I mean, it's not complicated for fighting. It's just you swing a blade or a sword or whatever your weapon is in a 180-degree angle, and you fight stuff. And as it gets further down, one of the complications is it's dark, so you have to place torches and fight at the same time. And as you get further down, you have these like bats that come at you and fight with you all the time while you're fighting other stuff. And for me, that was just crazy hard. Going back to the farming itself is hard because you have to worry about seasons and how long crops take to grow. And some stuff only grows in summer, some stuff only grows in spring. So you have to plant for different seasons, and you have there's just so many mechanics. And it sounds confusing, but it actually isn't. But it does take time to sort of figure out if you're not googling everything.
Okay, interesting. So is there a bit of a Minecraft aspect to this? You talking about some of that in there, or is it
Yeah,
all like pre-rendered or?
Um, you can't sort of like change terrain in the way that Minecraft does, but you do build a house, and you do have maintain a farm. You do cut down stuff. Uh, you do fight stuff. I mean, it's kind of Minecraftish. You do a lot of crafting. There's tons of stuff to craft, uh, but not. I would definitely say there's not as much freedom as Minecraft has. And there are Stardew Valley mods, the sort of graphical mods, but there's nothing that sort of changes the gameplay drastically. Stardew Valley cannot become Stardew Shooter or Stardew Zombies Attack or anything like that. Uh, Not at the moment, anyway. But I mean, it's a very vibrant game.
That's amazing. I can like obviously I do a little bit of art and I do have a degree in computer science, so I get the programming thing. But doing everything, I mean, I've always thought like if I ever made a game, I could do everything but the music. So to see that this guy did everything is just kind of insane to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like listening, and the music is really quite nice. Uh, Doing it all himself, but it just shows that, I mean, if you've got the willpower to younger people watching the video or watching our stream, if you want to make a game, there's no time like the present. Just do it, get it done.
Especially because now we have more time than ever.
Indeed, indeed, indeed.